guys to the Accounting Support YouTube channel. I have been teaching for the Sinhala medium students for a while now. I have already uploaded many videos on YouTube. Therefore, I thought the resources available for the English medium students are limited. The videos which are available in the YouTube are limited to the English medium students. With the current situation of the country, the English medium students are facing huge challenge because they can't go to school, they can't participate in tuition classes, and also there are limited number of YouTube videos are available for accounting subject. Then I thought this is the right time to step up and fulfill that gap in the society. Then I thought I will keep my YouTube channel as it is, and I will add another playlist for my YouTube channel in order to teach English medium students. Then without further talking, I think this is the right time to move to our topic. Today I will be teaching you accounting ratios. What is the topic? Accounting ratio. Accounting ratio. This is our topic. First of all, you guys should tell me what are the accounting ratios? What are the accounting ratios and what are the benefits of calculating them? You know, everyone knows that there are two main financial statements in our syllabus. What are they? These are the two main financial statements in our syllabus. Why do we prepare these financial statements? The reason behind, the logic behind preparing these financial statements is nothing but generating information for the people who are concerned about the business. There are a lot of people who are concerned about the business. Therefore, they need what they need. What do they need? They need information. They need information. That requirement is fulfilled by these financial statements. They provide information to the people who are concerned about the business. But to do an exhaustive analysis, the information that the financial statements are providing is not sufficient. It is not adequate. Even though the financial statement do generate information, those are not adequate. We can't just look at the financial statements and say this business is doing pretty well and that business is not doing well. We can't say that. Just by looking at the financial statement, we can't come into that conclusion. We have to see many aspects in order to say a business is a successful one or not. What are the aspects that we should investigate? There are many aspects. In order to decide whether a business is doing well or not, we should have information regarding these aspects. We should know about the liquidity position of the company and whether the liquidity is adequate and the business is doing pretty well in this aspect. We have to know it. Whether we jump into a conclusion that the business is doing pretty well. We should know these things. We have to concern about the profitability status of the company and long-term stability. Then we should know about whether this is going to be a long-term venture. We should know about that before come to the conclusion that it is a successful business. And not only that, we should concern about the returns for the investors and short-term performances. By considering all of these aspects, we can come into a conclusion, a logical conclusion, and that the business is doing pretty well or not. These financial statements, these two financial statements do provide information. But in order to do an exhaustive analysis, we do need these ratios. We do need the information about these aspects. We do need information regarding this aspect. To generate those information, what should we have? We should have accounting ratios. To know about the liquidity position of the company, what should we have? We should have liquidity ratios. By calculating liquidity ratios, we can generate information regarding the liquidity position of the company. By calculating profitability ratios, what we can do? What we can generate? We can generate information regarding the profitability status, profitability position of the company. By calculating investors ratios, we can generate the information about returns for the investors. By calculating efficiency ratios, we can generate information about the short-term performance of the company. Therefore, it is logical and it is obvious. We do need information regarding this aspect, and accounting ratios come and give us those information. That's why we prepare the accounting ratios. That's the logic behind that. Then, without further talking, let's move into the liquidity ratios. Before moving into the liquidity ratios, we should know what are the accounting ratios. We should know the definition for accounting ratios. An accounting ratio is the relationship between two accounting factors. The relationship between two accounting factors. What are the accounting factors? Accounting factors are the details which are mentioned in the financial statements. There are two financial statements. One is statement of financial position, other one is statement of profit and loss. Then the accounting factors which are included in those statements, some of them are sales, cost of sales, purchases, gross profit, net profit. Those are the examples for the accounting factors. We in accounting ratios, what we do, we create a relationship between, just say the sales is a accounting factor, because we can find sales in statement of profit and loss, and the gross profit also is accounting factor. Gross profit. To measure the relationship between the accounting factors, what do we need? We need accounting ratios. And there are few objectives of calculating accounting ratios. One objective is, can recognize the status of a business analytically than the available information in financial statements. That's what I have explained in the previous. And the second one is estimation of future financial status, profitability and liquidity. And the third one is, can assess present status of the business. Fourth one is, can compare current year data with previous year's scope with other similar business entities. And the last one is, guide to make suitable decisions. These are the main objectives of ratio analysis. Then Now look at the board. Now we are going to talk about liquidity ratios. What are the liquidity ratios? The ratios which are calculated to see whether a business can pay off its short-term debts. We calculate these ratios in order to check whether the business is in a position to pay off its short-term debts. We measure the short-term solvency of the business by calculating these ratios. There are two kinds of ratios that should be studied under liquidity ratios. What are they? One of them is current ratio and other one is quick ratio. First we go through the current ratio. When it is finished, then we can take a look at the quick ratio. What is the current ratio? Current ratio is the relationship between the current asset and the current liabilities. Here we measure and we assess whether we can pay off our current liabilities by using current assets. Whether the current assets are sufficient enough to pay off its current liabilities. That is what we seek by calculating these ratios. That is what we want to know by calculating these ratios. Current ratio. The way of calculating the current ratio is, the equation of calculating current ratio is current asset divided by current liabilities. This is the equation and you can have a figure here. I always tell you that the figure is not important. What is important is the meaning of this word, current ratio. What does this word mean? That is what is important. Current ratio is the relationship between current asset and the current liabilities. And in this ratio, we can get information about whether the firm will be able to pay off its current liabilities by using its current assets. We can get informed about those things by having this ratio calculated. Therefore, without further talking, let's move to our question. I have uploaded a question, and in that question you are asked to calculate all the ratios which are under the new syllabus, and you are asked to calculate those things, and the current ratio is also there. Then we have to go to the question, and I have uploaded it. There is the link, you can download it and you can have a copy of it with you. And then without further talking, just move to the question. We can take the current asset value by going to the statement of financial. In the statement of finance position, the current asset value is 1000 and the current liability value is 550. Therefore, we can figure it out the ratio. Now come back to the board. What is the current asset value? It is 1000. What is the current liability value? It is 5500. Then what is the ratio? 1.8 to 1. What is the meaning of this? What does this say? That is what we call. How much current assets do you have? 1.8 current assets. You have 1.8 current assets to settle that 1 rupee liability. 1.8 rupees worth of current assets and 1 rupee of current liabilities. What does this mean? Is you have 1.8 rupee worth of current assets to settle 1 rupee worth of current liabilities. And this is the thing that you should take into your mind, and This is the most important thing. The figure is not important. The important thing is the analytical part. You should be able to analyze this and you should be able to interpret this. This says the entity has 1.8 rupees worth of asset to settle a 1 rupee worth of liability. That is the thing that this ratio is saying. Now we can move on to the quick ratio. Let's look at the current quick ratio. Then this is the way of calculating quick ratio. This is the equation. We should take current asset, and we should deduct inventory value and prepayment value from the current asset. By deducting inventory and prepayments, what you can have is quick assets. This is called quick assets. Quick assets. By removing inventory value and the prepayments amounts from current assets, what you can have is quick assets. Quick assets divided by current liability, you can get the quick ratio. Let's go to the question. In the question, what is the amount of inventory value? Inventory value is 450 and the prepayments are amounting to 200. Therefore, we know the current liability value is 550, current assets are 1000. Therefore, we know the figures. Now then we can come back to the board. Then current asset value is 1000, the inventory value is 450, the prepayments amounts is 2200. Therefore the quick assets 1000 minus 650, 350. The quick asset value is 350, current liability value is 550. Therefore, the ratio is 0.6 to 1, and this is the ratio. Here, this means in order to settle 1 rupee worth of current liabilities, how much quick assets do you have? You have 0.6 rupee worth of quick assets. To settle a 1 rupee worth of current liabilities, you have 0.6 rupees worth of quick assets. In the quick ratio, we measure the relationship between quick assets and the current liabilities. And the quick ratio is nothing but a ratio which is calculated to assess whether a firm will be able to pay off its current liabilities by using its quick assets. And that is the ratio, and the ratio is quick ratio. That is the purpose of having this ratio. We have to get to know about whether a firm is able to settle its current liabilities using its quick assets. How we derive the quick assets? We deduct inventory and prepayments from the current assets. Then we will have the quick assets. In here, how do we interpret this? We have 1 rupee worth of current liabilities, but in order to settle this current liability, how much worth of quick assets do you have? You have only 0.6 worth of quick assets, and this is not healthy. This is not healthy. The healthy ratio is considered to be 1 to 1. This is the generally known ratio which is considered to be healthy. If the ratio is 1 to 1, then it is called a healthy ratio. Just look at the leverage ratios. The ratios which are calculated to measure the long-term stability of a company and the long-term solvency of a company are called leverage ratios. These ratios are calculated because the entity, the people who concerned about the business wants to know about the long-term stability of that company. Long-term stability. They need, the people who concerned about the business, they need information on long-term stability of the company and the solvency, long-term solvency of the company. They need information on these two topics. That's why they calculate leverage ratios. Under our syllabus, there are three main ratios which we should learn as per the syllabus. What are they? One is debt ratio. Other one is debt equity ratio. Equity ratio. And last one is interest coverage ratio. We can't study all the things, all the ratios at once. Therefore, we have to go through debt ratio first, and then we can carry on our studies on the rest of two ratios. Here, what is the debt ratio? What does this mean? That is the most important question at this point. Debt ratio, we measure the percentage of debt capital from its total capital. We measure the percentage of debt capital from its total capital. The equation for debt ratio is this: debt capital divided by total capital, and that's into 100. Here we take total capital here and we take debt capital here, and we take the percentage of debt capital from its total capital. That's what we do in this ratio. Now we can go to the question and find the figures for those things. In the question, the debt capital is the bank loan, that is 100, and the total capital is amounting to 1,550. It comprises from two things. One is the equity capital and the debt capital. Here, this is the question is the answer is very easy. Just look at the board. What is the debt capital? That is 100. The bank loan is the debt capital, because bank loan is bearing fixed interest, and it should be considered as debt capital. And total capital. Total capital is consisted from both the equity capital and from the debt capital. The equity capital is 1,450. How do I arrive this figure is the reserves value. The reserves value is 500, and the shareholdings, ordinary shareholding, is 950. When we aggregate these two figures, we can take 1,450. And we all know the debt capital is 100. Therefore, when we added these two figures together, we can come up with 1,550 rupees for the total capital figure. 1,550 for the total capital figure. When we take this as a percentage, 6.25. What does this mean? This means when we take 100 worth of capital, 6.25 from that capital is debt capital. When we take 100 rupees worth of capital, from this 100 rupees, 6.25 worth of capital is financed by debt capital. And when we interpret this, that is the main thing we should remember, because in each and every single 100 rupee worth of capital, total capital, there should be 6.25 worth of debt capital. Actually, sorry about my mistake, because this should be 4.5, not 2.5. This should be 6.45. I have mistakenly said to you that this should be 2.5 and it is wrong. You just make it as 6.45. Then we have completed the debt ratio. Then we can move on to the debt equity ratio. Now take a look at debt equity ratio. The relationship between debt capital and the equity capital can be called as the debt equity ratio. If the debt capital is greater than equity capital, it is called high leverage. If by chance equity capital is greater than debt capital, it is called low leverage. Here, when we go through the question, we can get the debt capital and equity capital also. We know equity capital comprises from two components. What are they? One is ordinary shareholdings. Other one is reserves. Now, let's go through the question and we can find out the figures. In the question, the debt capital value is 100 and equity capital value is 1,450 because ordinary shareholding is amounting to 950 rupees and reserves are 5,000. Therefore, altogether the equity capital is amounting to 1,450. Now, just look at the board. We know the debt capital value. What is the value? 100. We know the equity capital value 1,450. Then we can derive this ratio 0.068 to 1. And this is the ratio. What does this mean is the relationship between the equity capital and debt capital is this. When we have a 1 rupee worth of equity capital, that means we have at the same time we have 0.068 worth of debt capital at the same time. And this is what we call, and this is what we can derive from calculating debt equity ratio. The ratio between debt capital and equity capital, and you have to memorize that, you have to remember this equity capital comprises from two components. What are they? Ordinary shareholdings and reserves. And debt capital is all about fixed interest bearing loans. Therefore, as per the question, The only interest in bearing loan is the bank loan, and it is amounting 100 rupees, and the ordinary shareholding is 950 rupees, and the reserve is amounting 500. Altogether 950 and 500. Only shareholding is amounting to 950. Reserves is amounting to 500 rupees. Altogether 1450. When we take the ratio, we can derive this figure. And this is all about the debt equity ratio. Now we can move on to the interest coverage ratio. Now just look at the board. Here we are going to learn about interest coverage ratio. This is the equation: profit before tax plus interest divided by the interest. Here in this ratio, we see whether the earnings by an entity, whether the earnings of a company is sufficient to cover the interest for the long-term loans. You know, when we take loans, we have to pay the interest. Here what we look into is, we assess whether the earnings of the company is sufficient to cover the interest for the long-term loans. That is what we do by calculating this ratio. When we go through the question, we can find out profit before tax value is 800 and interest is 100. Now just look at the board. Profit before tax value is 800 and the interest value is 100 and the interest is 100, you know, then this is 9 times. What does this mean? This means you can pay the interest for the long-term loans which you have taken from the outsiders. You can pay the interest 9 times from the earnings that you earned. This is your earnings and this is your interest, and we calculate how much bigger the earnings, how many times the earnings are bigger than the interest. That means we can divide the earnings by the interest and we can derive this figure. This, when we interpret this figure, we can say that the earnings of this company is greater than, is equal, earnings of this company, earnings of this company is equal 9 times interest into the 9, interest into 9, and we can derive this equation. This means that we can pay off our interest. We can pay off interest 9 times from the earnings what we have from the company. And this is all about the interest coverage ratio. And now I think this is the time to end this lesson here, because I thought it is better to have another separate video for the rest of this topic. Here we have discussed 2 main ratios and there are 3 main ratios yet to be discussed, and we will discuss those ratios in the next video. And what I want you to say is, I will upload this kind of videos to this YouTube channel, and if you are interested of watching and seeing these kind of videos, what I want you to do is just hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. When you hit the bell icon, you will be notified whenever I upload a video. And I want to mention this also, if you did enjoy this video, just hit the thumbs up, and I really do appreciate that. And I want to remember you that I am conducting individual and group classes for the advanced level student. Therefore, anyone can contact me, and I will support you to get through the examination, and I will provide my service. And if you are interested in my teaching, just contact me, and my mobile number is on the screen, and you can take it and you can call me, and I will more willing to help you. Thank you.